What you are about to hear is not motivation. It is not advice. It is not a gentle suggestion for your improvement. It is an interruption, a full-scale disruption of the version of you that has been sleepwalking through opportunity, drifting between moments, letting life decide on your behalf. Because the truth is simple and often ignored. Your life has not been responding to your talent or your potential. It has been responding to your assumptions, the beliefs you carry quietly, the expectations you rehearse unconsciously, the identity you accept without challenging. And every day you move without intention, the world assigns you a role you never asked for. A role built from your hesitations, your doubts, your past narratives, your old definitions. But today that ends. Today your assumptions get replaced. Today you recover authority over your own mind. Today your mental operating system gets rewritten at the root. For the next 20 minutes, you are stepping into a different state, one built on certainty, purpose, and internal authority. A state engineered through repetition, reinforced through identity, amplified through deliberate thought. When you walk out of this, you will not think the same. You will not move the same. You will not live the same. Because once the mind accepts a higher identity, the old one cannot survive. It dissolves. It loses its power. It becomes incompatible with who you are becoming. So let's begin. What you're hearing right now is not meant to be consumed like information. It is meant to be installed. Installed into your thoughts, your choices, your posture, your direction, your future. Most men never understand this. Your assumptions shape your world long before your actions ever do. Your internal frame is the architect. Your external behavior is just the construction crew. Your dominant thoughts command the lens you see through. They decide what you notice, what you ignore, what you chase, and what you surrender without even realizing it. They determine your resilience, your confidence, your momentum. They create the limits you never question. They create the opportunities you never see. So consider this carefully. What if you assumed right now that everything is working in your favor? Not when circumstances look promising. Not when the path is obvious. Not when you feel supported or validated. But when it's dark, when it's slow. When you have no proof, no applause, no confirmation. What if you moved like the door was already open and your only job was to walk through it? That is not delusion. That is mental engineering. That is the blueprint used by every giant who reshaped the world around them. Ford, Edison, Carnegie, Lincoln, Rockefeller. They were not certain of the world. They were certain of the world. They were certain of themselves. They carried a mental posture that refused to negotiate with self-doubt. Boom. They assumed the outcome long before the world recognized it, long before anyone else believed in them, and they acted as if it was already real, already chosen, already theirs. Why not you? You have spent enough time negotiating with fear, enough time shrinking when life gets loud, enough time letting hesitation masquerade as logic, enough time rehearsing the same doubts until they felt like truth. Now comes the internal decision. The version of you that hesitates cannot coexist with the version of you that leads. One must die. One must be dissolved so the other can rise. Choose the one that moves. Adopt this frame and hold it deliberately. I act as if everything is unfolding for me, not because it is guaranteed, but because this belief makes me unstoppable. When you assume success is inevitable, you speak differently. You walk differently. You move with intention instead of caution. You command your life instead of reacting to it. This moment becomes your reset, your new mental architecture. Repeat it until your subconscious accepts it as law. Now let me give you a question powerful enough to rewrite your identity if you let it. What if it all works out? What if every setback, every delay, every disappointment, every closed door, every detour, every heartbreak, every silent season was not punishment, but engineering? What if it was the precise preparation required for the exact future you're meant to build? What if the pieces that seem disconnected were actually parts of the same design? What if the moments that broke you were the moments that built the depth you need? What if the seasons where nothing happened were the seasons where everything inside you was being recalibrated? Most people will never think this way. They live in survival, not vision. They wake up expecting disappointment. They rehearse failure and call it real. But there is a higher way to live, and it begins with belief before evidence. Belief is not a reward. It is not something you feel after things finally work. Belief is a decision, a discipline, a choice. And your subconscious does not argue with you. It does not analyze your past. It does not debate your possibilities. It accepts repetition as reality. It obeys what you consistently affirm. So feed it wisely. There is one trait that separates men who drift from men who build: definiteness of purpose. A mission so clear and so compelling that it burns itself into your subconscious and refuses to be ignored. Without purpose, your discipline fractures, your focus scatters, your hours disappear into distractions that leave you empty. Your potential becomes noise without direction. But with purpose, everything narrows, everything aligns. Every choice, every habit, every action, every conversation bends toward the same outcome. Write it down. One sentence, not 10. One mission, not a vague list. Purpose is not complexity. Purpose is clarity. And once you lock onto it, your doubts lose their authority. Understand this deeply. Faith is not something you feel. Faith is something you train. It is repetition, rehearsed belief, daily installation, internal alignment. Now, most men repeat fear unconsciously and wonder why they lack certainty. But you're going to repeat identity. You're going to repeat vision. You're going to repeat the future you have chosen until it becomes your default program. Faith is earned through follow-through, especially when it's difficult. Edison didn't succeed because he felt inspired. He succeeded because he decided the outcome and then acted until reality matched his internal decision. Your mind works the same way. Repetition shapes identity. Identity shapes action. Action shapes destiny. Destiny. There comes a moment where you burn the bridge, where you eliminate the option of returning to your old patterns, your old habits, your old excuses, where the escape route is destroyed, where you stop living with one foot in possibility and one foot in fear. Burn the bridge to your past softness. Burn the bridge to passivity. Burn the bridge to the version of you that waited for permission. When the old identity has nowhere left to hide, the new identity has no choice but to rise. Discipline is forged in solitude, but acceleration is created in alignment. No man builds greatness alone. Your environment either sharpens you or softens you. Surround yourself with men who move with conviction, who hold themselves to a higher standard, who speak with clarity and direction, who demand growth from themselves and therefore demand it from you. As from you. Remove anyone whose presence dilutes your purpose. One aligned conversation can reroute your life. A circle of aligned minds can rewrite your destiny. Before action, before momentum, before strategy, there must be belief. Not the belief handed to you by others, but the belief generated from within. Evidence comes after, always after. Your subconscious is shaped not by what is true, but by what is repeated. Every day you are rehearsing something, so rehearse identity, not fear. Rehearse certainty, not hesitation. Rehearse the future, not the past. Every act of follow-through without proof strengthens the spine of the man you're becoming. Every moment of movement without reassurance builds internal authority. Every decision made without external validation sharpens your power. And if there's one habit that separates the strong from the average, it is decisiveness. Indecision is where fear grows. Hesitation is where power leaks. Decide quickly. Decide quickly. Adjust slowly. Move forward with clarity. The world bends to the man who knows what he wants. Say it now. I no longer delay. I no longer drift. I decide and I do not retreat. The man who decides controls the direction of his life. You are not paid for time. You are paid for time. You are paid for value. And value is multiplied in the hands of the man who goes beyond what is expected. The extra mile is empty. That is why it is so powerful. Most people never step into it, but that is where excellence lives. That is where opportunity lies. Do more, give more, become not for applause, but because excellence is now part of your identity. When you consistently deliver more than you're paid for, you will eventually be paid far more than you deliver. Skill matters, strength matters, strategy matters, but presence multiplies everything. The way you move, the way you speak, the way you hold yourself, the energy you carry, that is the invisible advantage. It's not fake kindness, it's controlled power, calm certainty, influence without force, leadership without noise, cultivated daily. Now breathe, absorb every word. This is the identity you are installing. I walk with certainty. I act with purpose. I assume victory. I burn the bridge to my old self. I give more than expected. I align with greatness. I move with faith before evidence. I decide and I do not retreat. Everything is working for me. Always, somersault. Repeat it until it becomes instinct. Repeat it until your internal state changes. Repeat it until the world begins to mirror the identity you have installed. Because from this moment forward, you are no longer the man you were. You are the man you decided to become.